Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. In this video, we will be implementing and deploying countermeasures against DDoS attacks or security controls to mitigate against denial of service attacks. So basically what we are going to do is we are going to build a load balancer that will come in between the DDoS traffic and then our servers, as the case may be. Before we go into that, please subscribe to the channel below, like the video, comment, and share the video. All right, so this is the flow. Usually, DDoS attacks come in the form of heavy traffic to our server. What we are going to do is we are going to come in between that traffic and then distribute them across several servers so that the load is not put only on one server alone. So if, for example, we have 10 million traffic requests, we're going to split those 10 million requests among our servers as we have here, as displayed by this image. All right. Next thing we are going to do is we are going to need to install what we will use for this load balancing, and we are going to make use of NGINX for that. It's a server that can also be used as a load balancer. So I'm going to increase this. So what is NGINX? NGINX is a server that can also be used for load balancing, as we are going to make use of it in this video. We'll be installing this on Kali Linux. You can also install this on Ubuntu if you want to. Just go to this URL right here, or you can simply type NGINX installation into Google and then you find your way here. You need to locate Debian or Ubuntu. If you're on Ubuntu, it's quite straightforward. All you need to do is run each of these commands one after the other. This is to install the prerequisites. Then go ahead, import the official signing key. Basically, at the end, run sudo apt get install or sudo apt install, whichever one you prefer. Something like this, sudo apt get install NGINX, like this, or you can put the full delimiter here to install all plugins, all the modules. So go ahead and run this. I already have it installed, so I'll meet you when you're done. All right. Next thing we are going to do is we are going to split this DDoS attacks or heavy traffic, as the case may be, across 4 servers. So in order to do that, we have to create those 4 servers. I'm going to create them using just a simple Python HTTP server. I'm going to make a directory for now. Call this counter. I can type DDoS like this. I'm going to cd into that. And then I want my 4 servers to be in different directories. So I'm going to make 4 different directories for the 4 servers. I'm going to call this S1 for server 1. I'm going to call this S2, S3, and then finally S4. So basically, each of these folders will contain a basic HTML code, to just something to indicate that it's a server. So I'm going to create a simple HTML page in each of these. So I'm going to cd into S1. I'm going to create a simple HTML page. I can do that with mousepad. I'm going to call this index.html. And then inside this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to First of all, save it so we can get syntax highlighting. So I'm going to say HTML and then like this. Then we have the head. We have title. What should the title be? The title is counter DDoS. So we want to close the head. Come on. Do I have an error here? Okay, so we are going to have the body, and then the body will just specify what this is. So I'm going to say create a h1 tag here. I'm going to call this is server 1. In bracket, I'm going to put 1 here like this. And I'm going to close the heading 1 tag and also close my body. Go ahead and save this. Okay, then we're going to create this file in all the server folders that we've created. So go ahead, copy it. Or we could, or just go ahead, copy it. Copy. I'm going to close this. Okay, that's why we lost our syntax highlighting. This is the reason right here. Okay, so what we want to do now is go to the S2 directory for server 2. S2 mousepad index.html, and then we're going to paste. Then instead of server 1 here, we are going to call this server 2 and then change this to 2. Save it. Our syntax highlighting is back. All right. So one more time, copy this. We've already copied it, but no problem. Go back, cd into S3, create another file here, paste what we have. This time around is server 3. Save this also, close it. And finally, we want to go into the server 4 and then create this once more. Paste this here, put 4 here. And save it. All right, so with this installed, sorry, not installed, with the 4 HTML pages created, all we need to do now is we need to locate the NGINX configuration file. The NGINX we installed earlier, we need to locate the configuration file and then create our logic there. And then usually it's located at, usually is in the etc folder NGINX, and it's called NGINX.conf, like this. So whichever text editor you want to use to edit this, go ahead and open it. I'm going to use mousepad in my case. So I'm going to sudo mousepad, then this in order to open it. All right, enter your password. Okay, the configuration file looks like this. You are going to have several directives here. We have the events, we have HTTP. Where we want to edit is the HTTP directive. So go into the HTTP directive, and then we want to enter a new directive here. And I'm going to call this upstream, like this. Then you want to give it the name of whatever upstream you are creating. In this case, I'm going to call it counter underscore DDoS, just like this. Come on. Ensure you close the curly braces or the curly brackets. This is where you are going to specify the servers we created. That is server 1, server 2, and server 3. So I'm going to specify server. And then since we are going to host it locally, I'm going to specify 127.0.0.1, and then what port am I going to give it? So for this case, I'm going to make it run on port 8111. Ensure you put your semicolon here. And just to be fast, I'm going to copy this into 4 places. So go ahead, paste this here. Then I'm going to run this on port 8222. Paste. You can basically give it whatever port number you want, but make sure it's not conflicting with any service that's running on another port. So this one, I'm going to give it 8333. And then finally, I'm going to run this on port 8444, like this. Then one more thing, we need to specify what ports and server NGINX will listen on. So we are going to put server directive here. And inside it, we are going to listen on ports. What port are we going to listen on now? We're going to listen on port 8999. You can give it whatever port you want. Then we also need to specify where to look for whenever a traffic comes to our setup. In order to do that, we are going to use the location directive followed by /. What this means is basically the home page space your curly brackets, and this is where we are going to specify the upstream that we created above. And we're going to use this special command proxy pass, and then we want to listen on HTTP, then the name of the upstream, which is counter DDoS, a semicolon, and then save this. Okay, so next we want to enable NGINX server, which will be listening on port 8999, and then we'll verify to see if we are taken to any of these our servers that we have created. But before we do that, we need to make sure that those servers are running. So I'm going to create 4 new tabs for each of the servers. So on this one, I'm going to go back to S1. So we are going to use the Python server, the simple HTTP server for this. And if you ls here, you see that we have index.html. So we are going to run the server. I'm going to do python 3 http.server. And I'm going to specify the port for server 1, which will be 8111. And as you can see, our server is running. I'll also go and enable the port for the second server, which is Python cd into S2, then Python 3 http.server, and then this one will be 8222. All right. Next, we want to also enable the or start the server on the in the third folder, which will serve as our third server. So we're going to do Python 3 http.server and then port 8333. And finally, we want to enable the fourth server, which will be Python 3 http.server and then port 8444 as we specified in the config file. All right, with all the 4 servers running, now we want to make sure that we are now listening on port 8999 for the NGINX, which will serve to balance the traffic among the different servers that we have. If you check, it's listening on port 999. Okay, I'm going to close this config file, save it, make sure you save it, close it. And then I'm going to enable the NGINX server. Remember, it's listening on port 8999. So sudo systemctl, want to start NGINX. It started already. Now we want to go to our browser to confirm. Remember, each of the servers are running on different ports, server 1 8111 all the way to 8444. But NGINX is listening on port 8999, right? So we are going to go to 127, then we specify the port 8999. And if all is done well, then each traffic should be directed to a different server based on the configuration. So we're going to hit enter here. And as you can see, this is server 1. Yes, so our NGINX is serving the content in server 1. Our server 1, remember, is running on port 8111, but we are listening on port 8999. And when I refresh here, you see that it's gone to server 3. When I refresh again, you see this is server 4. All right, guys, with this, you can efficiently control and manage traffic aimed at causing distributed denial of service in your network or your system. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe below, share the video, like, and then let me know your comments. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you and bye for now.